Are you serious? Are you serious? Everybody better get a cup of coffee and calm down. But the doomsday clock has just been updated. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. With the world spinning out of control, with everything going on, wars, rumors of wars, nations rise against nation, kingdom against kingdoms, famines, pestilence, earthquakes, viruses, plagues. What does it all mean? Guys, let me put a shout out right now for, can you breathe? You might need to. Quick shout out right now to www.amazingcleanair.com. That's www.amazing, seriously, amazingcleanair.com. The general ideal among Americans is that outdoor air is worse than indoor air. That's what most people think. They think they're safer indoors than they breathe in the air outside. The truth is, it's the exact opposite. Studies show that we spend about 90% of our time indoors, but ironically, that's the worst place for your breathing. It's poor. Usually we have very susceptible, poor air quality, and it really affects children, older adults, those who have respiratory or cardiovascular disease. You should invest in a amazing clean air today. Just simply go right now to www.amazingcleanair.com. You won't believe it. www.amazingcleanair.com. And they've cut the price by 50%. This purifier will shock you how good it is, and you'll breathe better. Wow. Well, let me just say something right now. It's getting crazy out there, guys. It's really starting to get crazy. The doomsday clock, everybody's worried about it. Doomsday clock. What does it mean? Well, we've been waiting on this. Brock was telling me earlier this morning, hey, it's January 27th. This is the day they update the doomsday clock. And we have a change of administrations here in America. Does that affect the whole picture of the world positively or negatively? What does this mean? Well, the famed doomsday clock is going to stay right where it's at. They've decided, hold on a minute. Keep it right there. Don't move it. They're not going up closer to midnight to the end of the world, and they're not going to back it down and say things are safer. They're leaving it right where it's at. It's set at 100 seconds to midnight. They're going to keep it there, saying that the metaphor of how close the earth is to the annihilation at its closest time to the point since the creation of this clock 74 years ago. So this is the worst. This is the closest it's ever been to midnight in the whole 74-year history of the clock. They're not moving it any closer. They're not backing off either. So we're going to stay right where we're at, according to them. Now, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientist unveiled this year's setting for the clock at a virtual news conference this morning. It would be a privilege and an honor to move the hands of the doomsday clock away from midnight, although there are so many important bright spots that we articulate very clearly in this report, bright spots that we hope will continue to extend and evolve and allow us to push back next year at this time. But there's also current situations that don't warrant that. According to Rachel Bronson, the Doomsday Clock Bulletin president and CEO. The Doomsday Clock continues, however, to hover dangerously, reminding us just how close we are to the end of the world, or to the worst possible thing is nuclear annihilation. Now, they started this clock in 1947, right after World War II. And when you drop, of course, we had the two bombs, nuclear explosions there, of course, in Japan at the end of the war. A lot of people have been wondering, is that going to be the fate of mankind? Well, one thing I can say from a prophecy standpoint is that the Bible does talk about men standing on their feet and their eyes just melting out of their eye sockets and their tongue out of their mouth, which would come from a nuclear fallout, an intense nuclear fallout. That could happen to a person while standing on their feet. And that's in the scripture. Now, we have not seen that except 1945 in the nuclear detonations that the United States dropped on Japan at the end of the war. But the question is, has that prophecy been fulfilled in 45? Or will there be more annihilation of humanity? Not to the point, I don't believe me when I say this, I don't believe that man will ever destroy himself to the end of the world. But man will bring about God's end of the world. In other words, our wickedness, our evil, will ultimately bring mankind to the end of time. Give your life to Jesus Christ. We're running out of time, and we're truly living in the last days. Don't miss today's live broadcast. Starts at 12 noon Eastern. It's huge, as Israel is now threatening to attack Iran. And also, Pastor Mark Biltz is going to join us, decoding Jeremiah, comparing it to the book of Revelation. A prophecy show for sure. Don't miss it. God bless.